That's a problem with both DMK and Congress. They cannot accept any woman who is successful to be intelligent. And as far as if you say Vel Yatra didn't take off, then I think Mr. Stalin coming up with Vel in his hand, that's the biggest victory for us. So DMK is fine that they get only OBC, BC and backward community votes and minority votes. So they do not want Hindu votes at all. They're fine with it.
OBC, Dalits and all are not Hindus?
No, nobody says
Welcome to TNM's Road to Elections. I'm Priyanka Thirumurthy, and today we will be talking to one of the BJP's strongest campaigners and perhaps one of their most popular faces here in Tamil Nadu, Khushboo Sundar. She has been made in charge of the Chepauk Triplicane constituency, as evident from the background behind me, and today not only will we be following her campaign trail here, we will also be trying to understand the political mood on ground. But before we do all this, as the popular Tamil adage goes, Namakku soru dhaan mukkiyam. This election season, it's not just politics that is heating up in Chennai. The city itself is getting hotter by the day, and we decided to cool off with a popular refreshment in our very own Triplicane. Sir, Bombay Lassi.
You have to go left, then take right.
My drink is finally ready, this special lassi. So what's so special about this drink?
That you have to have a sip about this lassi, and then you should tell us why it's special.
Okay, so let's try it then. As you can see, the froth and the malai on top of it. So I went on Twitter and a lot of people said that Bombay Lassi has to be visited if you're in the Chepauk Triplicane area. So let's give it a sip. Okay, I think this is quite amazing. And it seems quite clear what's amazing about this. It has rabdi in it, so it's clearly quite a delight in this summer season. Soon after this pit stop, it was time to meet the BJP leader as she prepared to launch what could become her first campaign for votes in a decade-long political journey. Hello and thank you for joining us today on the News Minute. So my very first question to you is, you've donned many hats, an actor, an icon, somebody for whom a temple has been built in Tamil Nadu and now a woman politician. Tell me, how has this journey transformed you?
it has transformed me and evolved me as a person. A lot on humanitarian grounds, a lot on patience and perseverance. And I think most importantly, how do you go back to the society? That is what teaches you, the transition to becoming a politician. We say that it's nice to hear the word politician, but if you're elected, you're a public servant, and that's what it actually means, that you're here to serve the people, so you're a public servant. And we at times tend to forget that, because we like the word politician, there's a value to it. But I like to take it as being a public servant, and if I win, I definitely intend to serve the people.
So tell me something, when you joined the BJP, what was the reaction from your friends, your family, your daughters, whom you like, they're very important to you, you've said it several times before. Was there a strain in any relationships? Did you lose any friends because of your decision?
No, not at all. Politics is not based on friendships. In fact, the first lesson which I was taught by Dr. Kalaignar when I joined DMK was, nobody is your permanent friend, nobody is your permanent enemy as far as politics is concerned. And I definitely maintain that. I've gained a lot of friends, because probably there were few who were not very happy me joining Congress then. But now since I'm in BJP, a lot of people called me up and said, oh, we are glad that you have joined BJP. We were a little hesitant because you were part of Congress then. But I think friendship is never based on politics. The friends I had earlier, my friends continue to be the same even today. And I wouldn't be in BJP if I didn't have the support of my family. They have stood by me at every given point, and I am in the party because of my family stands with me.
How do you rationalize this in your head? You moved from the DMK to the Congress to the BJP. Do you just see this as politics and that things just change with the wind?
No, definitely not with the wind. I'm not kind of a person who is to go flow with the wind, because if I had to flow with the wind, I wouldn't have joined Congress in 2014, after they being decimated to just 44 seats in Lok Sabha, 2016. So I no 2014, correct. So I joined them in 2014. I'm not somebody who will flow with the way the wind blows. For me, it has to sink in that I'm on the right path, I'm on the right track, and only then I can move forward.
So, in the past, you have talked about your value in a party. Even in the Congress, you had said that they didn't realize the value that you held and what you brought to the party. So, how is your star power going to help the BJP this time around?
It's not the star power, it's the way I work. The star power is I can attract crowd. I am the headline newsmaker. I am there on the front page lines. I am there as a breaking news. All that is a star power. But for people to come and listen to what I have to say is what is very, very important. So for me, the most important thing now for BJP is I have brought in a lot of buzz into the party, because the minute I joined BJP, it opened the floodgates for others to come and join very comfortably. Otherwise, there was little hesitance from Tamil Nadu. But here, people are from every part of the field, not only in cinema, in different their own perspective fields. They're joining the party with a very open mind now.
So, you were in the DMK and then you moved to the Congress and now the BJP. Do you think that voters are okay with supporting someone who jumps like such a broad spectrum? Let's say the DMK and Congress were pretty much on the same spectrum ideologically, but the BJP is the radical opposite. Will the voters be okay with you or anybody who jumps parties this way?
It's not about being radically opposite, it's just the false propaganda. What was the basic ideology of Congress?
Equality, secularism. They in fact like harp on secularism as something that they...
In which way BJP lacks that?
The BJP in the past, in fact, several Muslim leaders have all said that they believe that the BJP is targeting their community, and in a certain way, they feel insecure if the BJP comes to power.
Right. So do you mean to say when 2019, when BJP won in such a huge, with such a huge wave and became the single largest party in the world, do they mean to say that out of 1.3 billion population what we have, the minority votes didn't go to BJP and they won only on Hindu votes?
In Tamil Nadu, it clearly didn't.
Tamil Nadu, it changes. We are not talking about Tamil Nadu alone. We are talking about all over the country. So it's changing. Today you are coming and interviewing a BJP leader. So that shows that people are open to BJP.
I think we would always interview a BJP leader.
Yeah, everywhere. You don't have every day from South, you have a BJP leader representing on national news. You have a debate on local news channels, that is state-owned channels, and there's a BJP representative. There's a news about BJP in Tamil Nadu and on the center page. People are speaking about Tamil Nadu. The best part is you have DMK leader Stalin coming up with a veil and saying that, oh, my family goes to the temple, we are not against Hinduism, we are not against any religion. And you have Congress coming and speaking, Rahul Gandhi visiting Tamil Nadu very often now. I think the minute you start talking about us, the minute you start saying that it does not matter to them, and you keep repeating your words, that means we do matter to you, and that's why you're talking about us constantly.
Actually, my question is very simple. In 2019, like you pointed out, you said the rest of the country accepted the BJP, but Tamil Nadu, where you are going to contest in the upcoming elections, clearly said no in the Lok Sabha elections. We saw the other alliance get a thumping majority. So in that sense, I'm asking, do you think the people of Tamil Nadu are ready for such an alliance?
There is always a different pattern when voting comes to assembly elections as well as Lok Sabha. And it's not only in Tamil Nadu, it's very evident in Tamil Nadu. It differs in different parts of the country also. You saw it in 2019, you saw it in Madhya Pradesh. Congress came to power, but what happened? 2018, it came to power. What happened 6 months later when they had MP election? It didn't win even a single vote. It didn't win even a single seat from Madhya Pradesh. And the same thing for Tamil Nadu. 2016, they said AIDMK cannot come back to power because people of Tamil Nadu always vote to different parties. 5 years they keep changing. But here you had AIDMK coming back to power. 2019 was Lok Sabha election. You wait and watch. This election and the next election, what is going to come in 2024, you will see a huge change.
So this is something I'm very curious about. When you joined the Congress, you had said it was like coming home. Now you've joined the BJP and of course they welcomed you with open arms. But you were somebody who was trolled mercilessly on social media. How does it feel now to be free to a large extent of this trolling and abuse?
Nothing, I'm still trolled. So you have trolls on both the sides. I was on the other side of the banks and I thought that there was a trolling part which happens only on the BJP side. But today when I'm on the BJP side, you see the trolling happening from the other side. So I think it's equal. It's no point in me sitting on one side and firing the guns and saying that this happens only at the other side. In Tamil there's a saying, ikkare kakkare pache. Okay, or akkare ki ikkare pache. So I mean the pasture is greener more on the other side is what we always think, but it's actually not. When you go on the other side, you realize that what it was. And here I am, when I'm here, people I haven't deleted any of my tweets. I haven't deleted any of my Instagram pages or whatever I had said about BJP in the past. And I said, that is me. Why should I delete that and say that I didn't say it? And I handle my Insta as well, my Twitter account single-handedly. I don't have an admin for that. So I will not say that this was done by the admin. No, it was me. And here I am speaking for the same party on their behalf, because this is me. You evolve, you grow, you understand you made mistakes. I did make mistakes in the past and I've realized that, and I'm here on BJP side.
Which are these mistakes that you want to particularly go over or you think have changed now?
Completely negative. 6 years of negativity was something which was working in my mind and it was turning me completely into a different person. You definitely have to have an opposition party. Nobody denies that. But being in an opposition party does not mean that you actually find faults when there are no faults at all. Try to create a problem with the ruling party into their schemes, which you know very well is going to benefit the people of this country. So you cannot do it in the name of secularism, in the name of serving the country. You are actually taking the country back, because you know very well the policies brought in by BJP is something which is going to take the country forward, but you are pushing things which is taking them back.
But are you saying that secularism works against policies that will take the country forward?
Not secularism. You take secularism for the right causes. You just cannot take the stand on secularism and say that you're going to take the country forward. Even BJP is secular. Tell me one Muslim who was thrown out of the house since BJP came to power.
You're somebody who is in charge of the Chepauk Triplicane constituency, and they have about 22% of a Muslim population. They were all out there for the CAA protest, the NRC protest. Washerman Pet saw CAA protest and against CAA and NRC. And then during the COVID-19 pandemic, like, they came out and said that the entire community was vilified. In fact, the several high courts had said that this government was politicizing the whole thing and blaming one community to, which was extremely wrong, is what the courts had said.
What happened at Shaheen Bagh was completely different. That was just before COVID, and that is why we had to put a full stop to it.
Of course, I'm not talking about stopping it at all. I'm talking about the protest itself.
The protest will happen, and let us understand that DMK or Congress, you have a pull here. Like you said, BJP is just stepping in, and it's them who keep pushing things. Why is that the only place you have Muslims in Tamil Nadu? Is Chepauk Triplicane the only place, or Raipeta the only place where you have Muslims in Tamil Nadu?
I only ask you these constituencies because you are in charge of it.
So you please understand, these are the places where the political leaders, they play a very dirty game. And this is what I want to bring it out, that you cannot play these dirty games in the name of religion. When you accuse a party saying that it is playing a very communal game, I think the opposition parties who talk about this, they play the games. Because I say, you have Muslims all over the country. You have Muslims all over Tamil Nadu, not in one constituency alone. But if you see people coming out in protest from one constituency, I want people to apply their minds and understand that it was a political game played by the oppositions.
But this was not just one constituency, was it? It was across the country we saw protests.
It died or its natural death. It died its natural death. You had a big thing happening in Shaheen Bagh. But that's what I'm saying. CAA, please tell me one Muslim who was thrown out of the country.
As far as Khushboo is concerned, the CAA NRC protest died a natural death. Our heated discussion with her too came to a temporary halt here as she hurried to her constituency. But in the speeding vehicle, our discussions turned again to her political choices. We're back on the campaign trail with Khushboo, who is heading to the Chepauk Triplicane constituency. And let's get back to our interview with her. She's quite like in a hurry right now to reach her constituency and meet the people there. So I want to ask you, you left the DMK and you had said that you had felt slighted. you met with a similar kind of response in the Congress. So I want to ask you what the bigger problem here is. Is it the fact that you're a woman in politics?
The biggest problem is you're a woman in politics. But bigger than that is you're an intelligent woman in politics and a successful woman. That's a problem with both DMK and Congress. They cannot accept any woman who is successful to be intelligent. And to add a little more, to rub more salt on them, it is like you're beautiful. So that becomes a problem. Beauty with brains doesn't work as far as DMK and Congress is concerned.
I think this is clearly a battle between the DMK and the AIA-DMK. They are battling head-on as far as this election is concerned. Even when seat sharing talks were happening, the BJP didn't refer to it as NDA or an NDA alliance. So I want to ask you, what is the BJP's role in this election?
We've always said it's NDA alliance, and AIDMK definitely happens to be the biggest party, the front party for us as far as Tamil Nadu is concerned. We have never shied away from that.
So in 2016, the BJP contested in 188 seats. And of this, they lost 180 seats. They lost deposit there. Your vote share is less than 3%. So what do you think has changed this time? Can BJP leave a mark in Tamil Nadu this time?
I keep saying again and again, I said the minute you keep raising these questions, what happened in the past, we have seen BJP coming back to the power in 2020 as the single largest party in the world. You see way back, if I'm not wrong, in 96 or sometime, BJP just had 2 seats in the central. We just had 2 MPs. So here we are as with more than 300 MPs here. So times do change. People do change. People do evolve. People do learn from their mistakes. I did. People of Tamil Nadu definitely will.
So, as far as Tamil Nadu is concerned, like I've spoken to multiple BJP leaders, and somehow their rhetoric is always seems to be anti-DMK. Like any question you ask, their entire focus is on defeating the DMK. So, in terms of a developmental plank, isn't that what we should focus on as far as Tamil Nadu is concerned? You may say Jandan Yojana and other schemes, but I ask you, Tamil Nadu specific? Shouldn't like the leaders be talking about development and not the DMK?
We keep talking about DMK, but here DMK is always talking about BJP. Why is it always talking about AIDMK and BJP? Who is the biggest force here? AIDMK. And who is trying to come back to power after 10 long years? Mr. Stalin, who has done nothing in his own constituency for 10 years, being the MLA of Kolathur. The water problem remains the same. The road problems remain the same. The drainage problem remains the same. No problem is solved in Kolathur alone. And we have seen how much of scam and loot the combination of DMK Congress has done. So why should we allow somebody to come back to power to loot the country again?
But what about your leaders like Kalaignar who's been booked under the Gundas Act now? He says something to the, like Prophet Muhammad is important is what he was implying.
You have people from every other party coming up with some statement. Yes, it does give a setback to every party. Okay, we have seen what happened here very recently in Tamil Nadu, where you had Karupurakutam talking about Lord Murga and everything. So you have people. Did DMK go against that? Did DMK deny that? Did DMK speak against them? No, DMK and Congress were quiet. They were here where people are talking about it, and yet you are supporting these people who are speaking against God. We say God is one. It's how you look at the God and how you say according to your religion who is greater. But I think as far as BJP party is concerned, you would have never seen the leaders, the main leaders, like you would never see Amit Shah ji, you never see the Prime Minister, you never see JP Nada ji or the state leader coming out with these kind of statements.
But you have senior leaders who have said things like hum panch or hamare pachis for the Muslim community.
That was in the past. After that, do you see when they have to, an action has to be taken, quietly an action has been taken. You cannot keep digging what happened in the past. We are looking at the future. If you're going to dig into the past, Rahul Gandhi today says, I regret that emergency happened, it was a mistake. So we cannot go falling back and say that this happened in the past and this is what we are going to take forward. I think we need to move.
Surrounded by supporters, Khushboo travelled through the streets of the constituency. Residents came to their doors, curious to see the actor-turned-politician.
வாரிசு அரசியல், குடும்ப அரசியல், வாங்க இந்த தேர்தல்ல ஒரு வாரிசு அரசியல் மறுபடியும் கலைஞரங்க போறாங்கன்னா கேள்விப்படுறோம். வாங்க வாரிசு வந்தாதான் மக்கள் வாக்களிப்பாங்களா? ஏன்னா அண்ணன் யார் இருக்காங்கன்னு முக்கியம் கிடையாது அண்ணன், நம்ம கூட்டணி ஜெயிக்கணும், அவ்வளவுதான் முக்கியம் அண்ணன்.
But even as Khushboo took on the opposition, the real problems in the constituency were visible for all to see. So, இப்போ நீங்க ரெண்டு பேரும் என்ன எதிர்பார்க்குறீங்க? இப்போ யார் வந்தாலும் இந்த தொகுதிக்கு உங்களுக்கு என்ன குறை இருக்குன்னு தோணுது? இந்த தொகுதி
போக்குவரத்து நல்லா இருந்தால் போதும், ரோடு போக்குவரத்து நல்லா இருந்தால் போதும், பெட்ரோல் டீசல் விலை கம்மி பண்ணால் நல்லாயிருக்கும், பசங்கள்லாம் ஸ்கூலுக்கு போகிற வர வழி டீசெண்டாக இருந்தால் நல்லாயிருக்கும். அதெல்லாம் தான், அதுதான் வேறு ஒன்றும் இல்லை.
இவ்வளோ மாதிரி லேடிஸ் நாங்கள் ரோட்டில் கடை வச்சுருக்கோம், இந்த பொழுப்பு வச்சு தான் நாங்கள் குடும்பம் நடத்துகிறோம். எங்களுக்கு நீட்டாக இருந்தால் நல்லாயிருக்கும், எங்களுக்கு எதாவது ஹெல்ப் பண்ணணும். இந்த தொகுதியில் ஜெயிக்கிறவங்க எங்களுக்கு நல்ல பூ கடை வச்சுருக்கவங்களுக்கு, கடை வச்சுருக்கவங்களுக்கு எல்லாம் ஹெல்ப் பண்ணணும்.
மெயின் ட்ரிபிள் ரோட்டில் வந்து நம்ம டிராஃபிக் அதிகமாகுது. பட் ஏன்னா ஒயின் ஷாப்பு பசங்களெல்லாம் ஸ்கூலுக்கு போகிறது வர்றது, வாக்கபிள் டிஸ்டன்ஸு அதிகமாக கம்மியாக வருதில்ல. அதனால் வந்து எல்லாம் தண்ணி சாப்பிட்டு கீழே விழுறாங்க, ஆக்சிடெண்ட் எல்லாம் நிறையா நடக்குதுங்க.
So we're back after a long campaign in the Chepak Triplicane constituency, and there were huge crowds gathered there to actually just catch a glimpse of Khushboo. How do you think the campaign went?
I think it went on very well. We were not expecting this kind of a crowd, so this really boosts our confidence completely. You saw the kind of crowd we had on the streets, people coming out of the homes and the houses. They were out on the streets looking at us and, you know, waving back at us, and they all had smile on their faces. So that gives a very, very positive sign to us that BJP, if there's a candidate from that area, they're going to win.
You've been with the DMK and Congress before. What are your views on Udayanidhi Stalin? As a leader, what do you think of him?
He hasn't contested anywhere. So I can't even, I left DMK in 2014. Uday was nowhere part of any of the political scenario there in DMK. So he's joined very recently. So as far as DMK dynasty is concerned, you belong to that family. So you will have that goodwill of your grandfather. He has done so much. He has built the party with his words. So you will have that support. There is a certain section of people of Tamil Nadu, a certain percentage, around 25% to 26% of people in Tamil Nadu who are steadfast DMK supporters, and they will continue to support them. Same goes with AIDMK. You have 27 to 28% of your vote share bank all over Tamil Nadu, and those people would only for AIDMK. But you cannot build your party, you cannot build your position as a leader on those lines. What can you offer? What can you give? My father has done this, my grandfather has done this, my party has done this. No. I mean, this is not something you say that, khazana mujhe mila hai to main baatunga. It's a legacy which Dr. Kalaignar has left behind. How long can you ride on that legacy? How long can you go on that same thing what has been done in the past? You're not Dr. Kalaignar. DMK is not the same party what Dr. Kalaignar was the president then. It has changed. The internal politics have changed. Too many new people have come in. It's their own personal problems which I do not wish to talk about it. But I think as far as the public is concerned, they're very clear. They know very well. AIDMK is fighting the election for the first time without a tall leader like Jayalalitha. DMK is very clear that there cannot be another Dr. Kalaignar. Even for Mr. Stalin, it's a huge challenge to prove that he is at least half good as his father. So he's going to take time.
During your rally today, while you were on stage, we saw veils being distributed. So coming to the subject of the Veil Yatra, it didn't really take off in the sense that your ally AIDMK themselves didn't give permission, and in the High Court, in fact, the council representing the government said there are different kind of tones to this, therefore we cannot allow this. So would you say that it has had any impact considering that it didn't really take off?
No, I'm glad, because you see, it spared us from explaining to people. Otherwise, DMK and Congress would have jumped, the oppositions would have jumped and said that AIDMK is with us and they're doing whatever BJP says, and that's why they're giving us the permission. We had to fight our way through, right? Despite of being in alliance with the ruling government. So we didn't go towards the back door or from the back door and try to get things done our way. No, we didn't. We went by the law, what the law said. And as far as if you say Veil Yatra didn't take off, then I think Mr. Stalin coming up with veil in his hand, that's the biggest victory for us.
So you're saying the pictures, the photo ops that he has done with the veil is a sign that the yatra has worked?
Absolutely. Otherwise, all these years when Mr. Stalin was away from anything that is godly, suddenly he has a veil in his hand and he says that, oh, my people at home, they go to temples, they pray, and you have Udaynidhi going and doing Abhishekam and everything and offering prayers in different temples. If this is not helping BJP, I don't think anything else is.
So the BJP is constantly portraying the DMK as anti-Hindu. In the sense, several leaders have said this to us in interviews. You've always said that the DMK is anti-Hindu. But let's take Kalaignar's schemes, his social justice schemes, the very ideology that the DMK looks up to, it has always benefited OBCs, BCs, Dalits. So which are the Hindus that you are saying that they are against?
OBC, BC you're talking about, and this is what we have brought now. Despite knowing that probably it might backfire, what we have done. So, I mean, what is it they're talking about? Now, they have an objection to that?
There's no objection. I'm saying, why are you saying that the DMK is anti-Hindu?
There were so many things which came up against Hindu gods. Even that Kutam, they had spoken about Murugan. They were absolutely quite to that. And it was their party who was supporting that we shouldn't go against them.
But your party also, a member spoke against Prophet Muhammad. That doesn't mean your entire party is...
See, party members, but at least we put a full stop to it. Here, you don't put a full stop to it. You become party to it. You become a party to it. It's not about what happens in the country. Tamil state is a small state, right? So and you say that you want to lead the state. So why don't you stop this? Is it okay? So DMK is fine that they get only BC and backward community votes and minority votes. So they do not want Hindu votes at all.
So you're saying OBC, Dalits and all are not Hindus?
No, nobody's saying that. You are saying.
You just said so they don't want Hindu votes.
DMK. I'm asking DMK, when we say that if they have a problem in we speaking about Hindu gods, then they have been the one who have been talking against Hindu gods. They are the ones who have been supporting people who say that Rama should not be there and Murugan should not be there and no god should be there. So they are fine with that.
So there's something which I noticed today was the large number of women who turned up for your campaigns. They were the ones cheering. They were the ones waiting to actually somehow talk to you. Several of them, of course, left disappointed because you were surrounded by supporters. So speaking of women in politics, I wanted to ask you, a very important political development happened last week where VK Sashikala said that she is temporarily moving away from politics. What are your thoughts on this? As an ally of the AIADMK, how do you see this for your alliance?
See, I don't think we have anything to do with Shashikala. It was her decision taken personally. What transpired her to take this decision, only she'll be able to explain. But she has said very clearly that at no point DMK should be allowed in this election. She wants AIDMK to be united. If she thought that there's going to be a split, there are two sides of AIDMK. Even if AMMK is part of AIDMK, okay, the supporters of AMMK. So she thought that it might split. So she said it's better they all stick to one side and let's all get together to defeat AIDMK. And what happened between AIDMK and AMMK, I think they both can answer, and we have nothing to do with this.
Which do you think are the best places for us to go eat in Chepauk, Triplicane?
Any of these messes, these mommy messes you have near the temples, the smallest one, don't look for going for these high funda ones. The small ones, go in there. You won't have seating arrangement. You'll have some old bench and all that. Please go eat there, and you'll find the yummiest food. I do that. I sit in the car because I can't go in, right? So I just get the food. I sit in the car and eat. But you'll get the yummiest one.
It's the end of the day and we decided to have a light meal for dinner, and while we didn't really take Khushboo's suggestions regarding the messes, I spotted Firdaus earlier today when we came here for her campaign, and who can say no to a good shawarma? So as far as the elections are concerned, follow TNM and stay tuned to the developments that are happening in both Tamil Nadu and Kerala. And through our Road to Election show, we will be bringing you in-depth interviews and also a taste of the local cuisine. For now, this is Priyanka Thirumurthy signing off for the News Minute from Chennai.